Today on the Topping Show, the United States Department of Education costs us $1 trillion, but the test scores go lower and lower every year. RFK Jr. is confirmed as head of HHS, with Mitch McConnell being the only Republican, Rhino, voting against him. Worcester, Massachusetts declares itself a trans sanctuary city, even though no city has outlawed that in the United States. Capt America actor says that it should not represent America in the films. Porsche, thank God, is pivoting back to gas engines. Okta hits their very first profit and cuts 3% of their workforce. Nissan and Honda dealer is off, and Foxconn tells Nissan they just want to be friends. And GMC trucks are being recalled because parts of the grill can just fall right off when it's being driven. All of that and much more on The Topping Show. Thank you everyone for taking the time to tune in today. Today's episode of The Topping Show is proudly sponsored by Topping Technologies. Topping Technologies is an IT value-added reseller and services company with a special proficiency in IT security. Heck, I see their founder at least twice a day. Gotta say he's quite handsome and brilliant. Easy, that's the joke. If you're an IT leader or business owner, you can reach out to the team at sales@toppingtechnologies.com. Also, still giving away a free flamethrower with every IT purchase. Yes, it does come with a fun Picatinny rail adapter, so you can mount it to any standard AR-15, like all awesome accessories can be. Go to toppingtechnologies.com and click the flamethrower button to learn more, or click the URL in the video description below. Also, having the first Q&A live stream ever. It's going to be Saturday. It's going to be February 22nd at 6 p.m. Central Time, as we call it Texas time. Lastly, trying to get to 5,000 subscribers by the end of the month, so if you can click that button and tell your friends, I would greatly appreciate it. Now, going over to the business part of the podcast, you have Porsche pivoting back to the glorious internal combustion engine. Thank God there's finally some more and more good automotive news after years of governments oppressively neutering car companies left and right, forcing them to make unprofitable EVs and anemic, boring small cars with less horsepower than a lawnmower or my Honda Civic, which is saying something. Now, this comes to us thanks to Motor1.com, specifically Chris Smith, who's right over there. He says, quote, Porsche pivoting back to combustion, it will cost them dearly, but you can't put a price on freedom. Though you also probably should have had some backbone and told Germany, like, hey, why don't you stick up for one of the most beautiful, great things about your country is Porsche, well, the whole Volkswagen group. Why don't you stick up for us against those bullies in the EU that are saying we need to stop making fun things and let China take over with EV mandates? But I partially digress. They say, quote, the company's 2025 forecast includes significant additional expenditures to focus more on combustion and hybrid technologies, which, although I'm not a fan of hybrids, it is one of the fastest growing adoption segments in terms of vehicle technologies, especially in the United States. Now, I don't know who's in charge of editing this article, if it was Chris Smith himself, but it's a little disappointing they have the Porsche SUV being shown here. Though it is a nice green. I mean, it's been decades since they made a proper SUV with a stick shift, which, again, if I ever have the privilege of having a family, my friends joke with me saying, Topping, you're going to need an SUV, in which I would say, well, it has to have 3 pedals, not many options. Believe it or not, Porsche in around 2008, 2009 had the Cayenne GTS. So it's a stick shift SUV with a V8, which, yeah, they're so rare. They still go for like 50, 60 grand with 100,000 miles on them. But talk about a fun thing. You got an SUV with a V8 Porsche with a stick shift, which, God, if they were to make that again, I mean, that would be so cool. I don't think they're going to go that far. They should, just PR marketing alone would be brilliant. But I partially digress. To me, I think they should have something more iconic like the 911 or the Cayman there, but that's just me. Now, they say, quote, Porsche, like many other automotive companies right now, is taking a hard look at the future and reevaluating its plans. Specifically, that means dialing back the electric push in favor of more combustion power, but it's not that easy as flipping a switch, and it won't come without a price. In Porsche's case, the price... Okay, I'm sorry, let me fix this. Your eyes deserve something more glorious than that Porsche SUV, or me for that matter. There you see a nice Boxster, which still is one of the best bang for your buck. Still a lot of money. It's like $76,000 starting price, which, geez Louise, has many pretty pennies. Let's just say I'll have my Honda Civic for a little while longer, to say the least. But yeah, still a great track toy. Now, they say, quote, in Porsche's case, the price could come steep. On February 6th, the company shared some preliminary financial figures for expectations in the coming year. Production expansion and development related to the combustion and hybrid powertrains is forecast to cost $831 million. Mind you, that's just for 2025. That figure could also include costs for, quote, battery activities, So it's not entirely a combustion-only expenditure. That said, the new hybrid vehicles do require batteries for specific platforms, which a hybrid Porsche, geez Louise. I know the Spider's a fancy $100,000 plus car, but yeah, if I'm a Porsche supercar, it's going to be the Carrera GT, the V10 and a stick shift and beautiful analog technology. But I partially digress. I'll try to keep the ADHD in check. No promises, though. They say reversing course back to combustion should see a profit margin fall between 10 and 12%. According to Porsche, the company is forecasting a sales revenue of $40 to $41 billion, which is quite a pretty penny to say the least. Last year, Porsche announced it would continue its V8 production, thank God, for the Cayenne and Panamera beyond 2030, which, I don't know, the kid in me always thinks Panamera and thinks, the Panera Bread Company. I know, obviously, it's different, but I don't know. In terms of marketing, I always thought that was a silly name for Porsche. But nevertheless, as they're, moderately popular sedan, and the Cayenne is a big old SUV. Now, Chief Financial Officer Lutz Mitschke, which maybe I got that right, 50-50 chance. Well, no, I won't be that generous, 20% chance. Told Automotive News Europe, the company is further looking into creating hybrid or full combustion versions of vehicles originally slated to be electric only. Porsche's 2025 financial forecast reinforces that statement, which, yeah, even with all that money, it's well worth it. Because again, you make money on gas engines. Most of these companies lose billions. Ford lost $5 billion in fiscal 2024 on EVs. Again, eventually you can make a profit on EVs. The best use case in history would be Tesla, the first major automotive company in history to do that, which is a huge business accomplishment in and of itself. But yeah, a lot of these companies, they're still losing money on EVs. They're, offsetting those losses because of the gas engines. Now they say, quote, the news comes amid struggles with the automaker to get the next generation 9718 dialed in ahead of its planned launch later this year. The new sports car will forego its mid-engine layout to become an EV. Abomination. Again, abomination as well as weakness. Germany, grow a pair. Tell the EU to go to hell. I mean, they literally said they're going to make the Cayman an EV because of EU regulations, specifically around, believe it or not, cybersecurity and emissions and all that crap. Which, again, if you want a fun track toy, you're not going to get an EV because, well, you need it. You only have 12 hours to charge between sessions. Also, they don't have the insurance or the proper fire suppression technologies in most cases for that. And the Cayman is meant for the track. I know there are a lot of pavement queens who never go to the track. It's an abomination in of itself, but it's meant for the track. And an EV will depreciate like a rock and be useless. Yeah, there's a reason my 30-year-old, 20-year-old Porsches are still worth like 20 to 30 grand. A nice Cayman from 2008 is still like 20 to 30 grand. They hold their values pretty well, just because long term they're reliable. They're better. Well, I'd say they're pretty reliable and robust. Not going to be the same thing with an EV. When was the last time you saw someone with a 10-year-old iPhone still working? I rest my case. Now they say, quote, even though we can't help but wondering if plans are already underway for an ICE companion. The new Cayenne EV is also reportedly being delayed, casting doubt on its planned debut in 2026. As for Porsche's best-selling vehicle, the new Macan EV could also gain a combustion and powertrain sooner rather than later. So, some good news for Porsche. I don't know, in terms of, still hope they grow a pair and tell the EU go to hell and actually keep making the Cayman with an ICE engine like literally every enthusiast except 3 people want. Again, time will tell, but I think this is a good, this news is kind of a good point in the right direction, so to say. So we got some good news in the automotive community. And again, SUVs are extremely important for automobile manufacturers. It's one of the most profitable things they make. It's kind of funny to think that, the most iconic Porsche in their lineup is the 911, the sports car. But in terms of volume units sold and revenue, I mean, the SUVs is what they really make their bread and butter with, so to say. And they're a huge volume of business as well. So it'll be interesting to see. I suspect it'll still be the crown jewel of the Volkswagen Group portfolio. But let me know in the comments your thoughts, because as always, be fascinated to hear what you have to say. Other interesting business news, you have Okta hitting a first ever profit and still having to do layoffs, which is not too surprising. Now this comes to us thanks to sfgate.com. Specifically, Stephen Council is a writer over there, says, quote, Okta, San Francisco tech company worth $16 billion, lays off staff after turning first profits. The identity software company is cutting 180 workers, 56 in California, which, again, not too surprising. My tech company works with Okta. We resell Okta and do installs. They're mostly known for SSO and MFA, single sign-on and multi-factor authentication. Rudimentary speaking, if you want to log to a website, they'll prompt you to like log into your app, or give them a code, or they'll text you code. This type of technologies when you boil it down. Now, they were the best, bar none, back in the day, and they charge a premium price for it. But there's a lot of competition, and Microsoft is playing dirty as usual. Microsoft is making it harder and more difficult to integrate it into their technology, so it's much more cumbersome, which is not good, especially when Microsoft also sells a competing product. And a lot of companies are doing the Microsoft E3 and E5, aka their big expensive licensing that encompasses many of the features, including the Okta stuff. So they're being pushed out of accounts left and right and losing a lot of market share. So they hit their first profit, but they're not doing great. And again, I'm biased. We are a reseller of the technology. We like it. It's pretty darn good. I mean, a lot of people argue it's best of breed. It's the best of the best. However, a lot of companies are, struggling, so they're trying to consolidate. And again, Microsoft has a competing solution. A lot of them will just upgrade the licensing at Microsoft to include the extra widgets that they would have gotten from Okta. Now they say, quote, Okta, a San Francisco company that makes identification software widely used across the professional world, has now laid off staff at the start of February for 3 years in a row. The $16 billion tech company is cutting around 180 workers, or 3% of their workforce, according to a filing with the SEC. The filing said Okta shared the news with the staff on the same day, describing the layoff to, quote, restructuring plan intended to reallocate resources toward priorities to drive growth, which that's a very politically correct message or statement. Pretty bland. This is almost as bland as the average politician when they talk. Now, the issue is most of the reps, it's like a rotating door policy or rotating door philosophy. There's not a lot of longevity with Okta reps. And again, there's some exceptional people who work there. I've worked with them and collaborated with them. And it's not always their detriment, but a lot of them, they'll join and they are forced out or they leave pretty quick. We're talking sometimes as little as 1 year. Now, they say that Okta has also filed a warn notice with California's Employment Development Department and with Mayor Daniel Lurie's office, as is generally required in the event of mass layoffs. The document says 56 Californians will lose their jobs, some of which are based in Okta's headquarters, others remote, which is rough. They say, quote, before noon, laid off Okta workers are already spilling onto LinkedIn with goodbyes to the company and open to work posts. One engineer, quote, said, quote, more cuts at Okta and I did not escape the cleaver, unquote. The program manager posted asking for job leads and said her layoff came just 3 months after her husband expected a baby. Now, the Okta spokesperson, Jenny Grinch, that I know it's a little late for a Christmas joke, but now that is, it's a sad situation, but it's kind of funny. The person in charge of giving more bad news is called Jenny Grinch. And that is a comical name, almost as comical as a name like Topping. Oh, wait, I partially digress, but in all seriousness, she says, quote, we thank our ongoing colleagues for all they contributed to Okta and are committed to providing support and resources to help them through the transition, unquote, which, yeah, typical PR statement. They say that she did not respond for questions about which parts of the company are losing staff, which, yeah, they probably don't want their competition to know which areas of the company are, bleeding first. They say the layoff is similar to the one that Okta laid off 400 workers in February 2024 and 300 workers the previous February in 2023. This also comes amid a rosier financial situation. Okta struggled for years to reach profitability amid losses of more than 2.8 billion before February 2024. Ouch. The trend continued to the start of the year, with Okta reporting 40 million in losses in the quarter that ended in April. But then the tech company managed to turn the first ever quarterly profits after years upon years. Wow, finally. In the 3-month period since that ended in July, it made 29 million, and over the next 3 months, it netted 16 million. Which, again, as an individual is life-changing, but for a huge business, it's good that they're in the right direction. But again, the business is by no means healthy. So a lot of websites and a lot of forums are critiquing Okta, saying that they're greedy and like, oh yeah, they just made a profit now. Now they want extra profits, so they have to do layoffs. That might be, I really don't think that's contributing the biggest or even close to being one of the biggest contributing variables in this equation of why this is happening, is because they are losing market share. So again, you have the 80-20 principle where 80% of your results come from 20% of your efforts, simply put. So they have their big accounts that they're still in, don't get me wrong. If you look at the major tech companies, the major businesses, a lot of them are still using Okta. we're seeing them lose traction in mid-market businesses. A lot of businesses between like 700 and 7,000 employees. A lot of them are moving off Okta. And the number one, the competition, if not Cisco shop, is usually the Microsoft option. Cisco, of course, does darn everything in IT as well. A lot of people would argue not well, but nevertheless, they have a wide umbrella, pun intended, because that's the name of one of the products they sell, of solutions that does encompass that. They did brilliantly buy out Duo authentication years ago over at Cisco. So the issue is Okta was once the best and brightest, and there wasn't a lot of competition. Now, they're still one of the best, don't get me wrong. Exceptional cybersecurity solution. Well, they've had a couple of breaches and issues throughout the years, technically speaking, and now they're losing market share left and right. The adoption rate for like new accounts adopting Okta, it's pretty rare. And that's why it's really rough for the people who work there. Spoiler, not a lot of the reps ever really make money or quota. So, I really don't want them to fail. Obviously biased. We work with Microsoft and Okta, but again, it's a really good tech and really good people in sales and engineering support. But they're losing market share, so they're gonna have to. I think they're gonna have to make more cuts. But I really hope it gets better soon. But there's also a lot of tech companies. Salesforce, all these big guys are also doing layoffs as well. You're seeing a lot of this in tech. So I feel really bad for everyone that's lost their job. Hopefully they'll be able to find a new role to another employer. But let me know in the comments what your thought of the situation is. And as always, be fascinated to hear what you have to say. Other interesting business news, you have the Honda and Nissan merger off, with Foxconn telling Nissan we just want to be friends. Because, yeah, no one really wants to own Nissan. I guess if I was a trillionaire and I wanted to lose money, just as a passion project, I'd buy it just to make the GTR with the stick shift, but I don't think anyone's silly enough to do that. Now, this comes to us thanks to Motor1.com, specifically Anthony, who's a writer over there. And they say, quote, Foxconn wants to work with Nissan, not acquire it, which, if you don't know, Foxconn is perhaps the probably number one technology manufacturer on the planet. They're the most famously known as being the subcontractor for companies like Apple, as well as Dell and Hewlett-Packard, where those manufacturers will design it in California, but it'll be made usually in China, or as Trump would say, China or India, at one of the Foxconn plants. And they also make some of the components in it as well. So, definitely don't recommend for like a home experiment, but well, if you ever have some extra iPhone or extra electronic lying around, fun fact, if you take it apart, you'll see a lot of the Foxconn name stamped on the components. Now, they also say that reports suggest Nissan is looking for a new suitor, which, again, I'm not sure anyone who would want them. They do have the Nissan Z, which is a great, it's the only turbocharged V6 or twin turbocharged V6 stick shift on the market, which is quite sad. And a great track toy from what I'm told. I've seen one. They claim they sell more. They claim they just passed Supra in terms of number of units sold. I probably see 38 Supra. Oh, I must have a little biased in terms of my location. I'm relatively near to the Toyota headquarters in North America. But I've probably seen 20 Supras a month. And I've seen one Nissan Z in a year. It was a nice little Nissan Z. It was a nice old couple outside a grocery store. But nevertheless, they say, quote, we should know more about the state of Honda and Nissan merger by the announcements, but it looks like their partnership is coming to a demise. However, Foxconn could serve as a potential lifeline to the company needs, except the Taiwanese electronics manufacturer isn't interested in acquiring the struggling automaker, which would better jive with Nissan's needs. I'm sorry, it might be an eyesore, but here's a Nissan on the screen. Ew. Disgusting looking SUV, which, again, it makes sense. Foxconn doesn't really, not to be pejorative, they really don't own a lot in terms of their own brands. They're known for being a subcontractor, so you hire them to make your stuff. So, there's been a lot of rumors. I think they bought out one TV company decades ago, and there's a time where they're going to assemble them in America, but that fell through at the last minute. So I'm not too surprised. Now, they say, quote, while Foxconn isn't interested in buying a stake in Nissan, which who would, it's also not opposed to it if there's a operational need. It's going to Lu, and Foxconn makes an assortment of electronics, including the Apple iPhone. It wouldn't be the first time a company would venture into EVs. They also know that the Chinese phone maker Xiaomi launched in the SU7 in 2024. Details about the rumored breakup of the Honda-Nissan deal, which ex-Nissan CEO Carlos Phone called a, quote, desperate move, continued to emerge. According to another Reuters report, Nissan wanted nearly equal treatment in discussions, which, again, I like the Nissan Z. It is a fun, cool sports car. If I won the lottery, I'd probably buy one. But I mean, Nissan is a fifth of like the revenue and performance of Honda, and probably 1/1000th of the build quality and reliability. And yet they want to be treated as equal, not as, being bought out. Yeah, that's never going to happen. Now, they say that Honda wanted Nissan to cut more staff, as well as being the parent company. Honda also allegedly revised the deal's terms to make Nissan the subsidiary, believing that Nissan wasn't sufficiently worried about its struggles. A partner like Foxconn would allow Nissan to retain its independence, but the automaker is looking at some significant hurdles. Last year, the automaker cut its profits forecast by nearly 70%. Jeez Louise. I'm sorry, I'm a little another eyesore. There's another Nissan product. Ugh. The Frontier. I have one friend who has a Nissan Titan. He loves that thing. It rides pretty good, but yeah, they just really didn't get a lot of traction in North America in terms of a real market share of trucks. It's one of the most competitive segments to get into as well. They say that they also had to eliminate 9,000 jobs, reduce its global production capability, and sold a portion of its stake to Mitsubishi, which, how the hell they have more than $18 in their bank account is beyond me. I mean, Mitsubishi used to be one of the best companies out there, making the Lancer Evo, the Eclipse, the cool sports coupe from the Fast and Furious films. Now the Eclipse is an anemic SUV crossover, and you see like a Mitsubishi sad-looking dealership like once per state. Yeah, that's to say Mitsubishi's it's the golden years for them is well behind them. They also note that the automakers also asked its dealers to sell vehicles at a loss while maintaining while scaling back Rogue production, its best-selling model in America by a wide margin, the country's 9th best-selling vehicle overall last year. Sales of I was going to say, dealers, you want them to sell it at a loss? Yeah, dealers they're going to love that. Wow. Again, dealers aren't paid anything by the manufacturer most often than not. Every once in a while, they'll give them like a gift card. They sell it like a sales spiff. But again, it's independent business, and they make their money off selling the vehicle as well as financing, accessories, and all the undercoating, all other kind of stuff. They note that sales of the popular crossovers were down 9.6% last year in the United States, but the brand's overall sales went up 3.5%. The Versa and Sentra, the brand's two cheapest models, saw sales jump 71.9% and 39.8% year over year, respectively. But those didn't rake in the huge profits needed to face declining global sales, rising costs, increased competition, and an uncertain future. Which, yeah, that's not going to be enough to turn that company around. I mean, don't get me wrong, Nissan in terms of global achievements or, historics, they've done some cool things. I'm not a fan of the Nissan Leaf, but that was pretty revolutionary to have a mass-produced EV. Besides Tesla, again, that was pretty unique. And again, the 350Z was awesome. The 370Z was pretty good. And the 400Z looks great. A lot of part sharing, but nevertheless, it's cool they make a sports car, even with all the troubles out there. But yeah, I just don't see who's going to come in. I mean, usually there's a reason for a company to buy another company. And that's why it happens. But I don't know anyone who's going to swing in at the final hour and be like, Nissan, we like them. They'll be a great addition to our portfolio. What is the value add of it? They really don't have a cult following. People don't buy Nissans necessarily because they love them. They buy them because they have a pulse. Nissan Credit is famous for giving out inappropriate loans that have a high propensity of not being paid. It's good for the consumers in terms of if you have a pulse, you can get a Nissan thanks to the credit division. But again, they make a couple of vehicles, but after especially the CVT transmission issue, which I would argue erased any modicum of reputation for reliability they've had pretty much forever, it's been a brand most people just walk away from, and they avoid the play because they're worried about reliability. Most of them depreciate like a rock. No, don't get me wrong. The GTR was a cool feat of engineering, but even that, they really didn't change much year over year. They just charge more and more money for it. And they never come out with a version with a third pedal, also known as a manual transmission. I know that's a minority of users these days, but for the enthusiasts alone, they would have been worth it. And they would have sold a few more units. Toyota listened to the room. They listened to the consumers. They did make the Supra eventually with a third pedal. Again, the people had to clamor for it for a while, but give Toyota credit. They did the research development, and they actually got that third pedal, also known as the manual transmission, for the newest Supra. So we'll see what happens with Nissan. Again, it's sad because a lot of people are going to be losing their jobs. Hopefully they're able to find gainful employment and one of the competitors of Nissan. But let me know in the comments. I don't see a compelling reason to buy out Nissan or even to partner with them. And it sucks because, again, you want competition. I mean, that's how the best results are. It's the beauty of capitalism. The best results through the service. You want a lot of options. And again, the GTR is a beautiful handcrafted, piece of machinery. Those engines are awesome, but I just don't see them with so much competition surviving the next couple of years. But let me know your thoughts in the comments, because as always, be fascinated to hear what you have to say. Now, going over to the cultural part podcast, you have Worcester, Massachusetts, declaring itself a trans sanctuary city, even though it's not illegal in any city to be trans. Very bizarre. Now, apologies, I'm not trying to butcher that name. I might have inadvertently. I mean, just remember, it reminded me of that silly sauce, the Worcestershire sauce. I have a rumor, I have actually a theory that no one actually knows how to pronounce it. Everyone's just making it up. But nevertheless, this is apparently from maybe it's Worcester, Massachusetts. I don't know. But this is supposed to, thanks to ALX.X, which also sounds awkward. Nevertheless, he says, quote, last night, Worcester, Massachusetts voted to become a, quote, sanctuary city for transgender and gender diverse people, unquote. The city's council meeting before the vote was interesting. Which, yeah, the first speaker looks more awkward than me, which is saying something. And this might feel like an eternity, but it's only a couple, I think it's about 5 minutes. We'll see how long we tune in. But actually, yeah, this person looks bizarre just coming from me. For those who are just listening on the Spotify or the Apple iTunes, if that's still a thing. Oh, it is. Apple Podcast or Rumble, or you can't see it. This individual has, well, of course, bright blue hair, which big dye, hair dye is a real winner in all of this, as well as pearls. I guess that's normal. But gloves, like a mime or someone from the 1920s, which, I don't know, maybe they're making a comeback. I'm not a fashion aficionado, obviously. Wear the same suit every day. Maybe they're making a comeback. I don't know. Although, maybe I'm speaking too soon. Perhaps this will be a very articulate, brilliant argument that will change all of our minds. Probably not, but let's go ahead and dive on in.
I need the city to protect me because the federal government won't. And if you think you're afraid of Trump, you should see how afraid of Trump I am.
Can you wrap up, please?
Yes, I can. If you say that you're afraid of Trump and that's why you don't want the city to be a safe space for trans people, you better prepare for trans people to make this a very unsafe space.
Sounds like a threat.
I'm shaking right now. I don't want to be here.
Up, please?
I'm sorry, am I taking too long pleading for my life?
You remembered how many children I have and that 2 of them are trans.
What? First Child Protective Services, statistically speaking, 2? They're both? Again, in the United States, it's still controversial. It's not very controversial, I feel, in the United States for adults to do what they want in terms of transitioning. You really only see there are some, but I think the majority of Americans really don't care what you do once you're a legal adult, or shoot, I would argue age 26 because of mental development. But nevertheless, there's really not a lot. There's controversy around that. But the kids, where again they lied, saying, well, of course they lied, but they said that drugs are totally completely reversible. These puberty blockers. Spoiler alert, they're not. But yeah, and of course she does have short purple hair and a rudimentary t-shirt. Not that there's anything wrong with t-shirts, but it has a trans flag that says protect the kids.
I speak as both the B and the T in the LGBT.
I'm multiply disabled. I have Ehlers-Danlos syndrome, which is a connective tissue disorder that causes me immense physical pain. I'm on.
That sounds like a separate topic for another time. Again, you should get medical care, but what does that specific disorder have to do with this? Also, no city has banned you.
The autism spectrum, and I have narcolepsy, and I couldn't drive myself here, so I had to hide from my driver that I was in drag, which is not an easy thing to do in drag.
I do not want to be here. It's my day off.
This person has about 20 pounds of makeup on their face, which I always think makeup is overrated for everyone, including women. But yeah, this is a comical amount, almost as if it's a face painting thing you see at like a child's birthday party. But at least this person did suit up, and then they have some lapel pins.
I do not want to be in your DMs. I do not want to be in your email inboxes. I do not want my creativity writing diss tracks like Kendrick. I don't want to spend an hour applying glitter on my face
Glitter should just be banned in all uses. It's the most useless thing humanity has ever thought of, and it's crap. It gets everywhere, and they'll never get rid of it all. So just a rule of thumb, maybe ADHD comment. Culturally speaking, we should ban glitter in North America. Let me know if you think. I mean, you never clean it all up. It's trash. No one should ever use it. It's an abomination. Let me know in the comments if you think that's a good idea. Perhaps I should get into politics after all. Topping 2024. No more glitter. Not the worst political idea out there, I'm sure.
So that you will hear and see me. I want you to listen to me.
Let us remember that the Nazis burned the books that the Nazis burned books on gender sciences first. Now the administration has villainized and marginalized migrant workers, trans, LGBT people, and even special needs, denying life-saving and affirming care.
Fact check. Bullshit. Affirming care. Again, I want everyone to get help. I don't want anyone to pass away, regardless of their ideology or anything. Well, except if you hear kids, I guess it won't. Nevertheless, the suicide rate, and oh shoot, this video is, well, we'll see if it actually gets blacklisted. That's not a rumor. If you say the S word, it'll be, taken down. But nevertheless, so I should watch on Rumble. The rate at which you end your own life is the same, whether you get these what they call affirming surgeries or not, showing that there's no effect either way. It's good for the medical industry because they make lots of money. But yeah, and what did he say against the LG?
And even special needs, denying life-saving and affirming care.
That's, to me, scary when you have someone with special needs who obviously, especially can't consent. The fact that they're putting medical procedures on children with special needs, with these types of things, that's horrifying. Because it's like the double can't. It's like the double can't. I can barely articulate my ideals. I'm so disgusted and horrified. They double can't consent, so to say. It's insane. And like how he says, oh yeah, migrants, LGBT, they don't like this administration. A lot of them vote for Trump. Trump was I believe, one of the most unified candidates of our lifetime. I mean, you had Tulsi Gabbard and RFK Jr. join the side. You had so many people. A lot of my more left-leaning friends voted Trump because they saw more unification inside the political aisle. But I partially digress. Maybe we'll get some articulate points soon.
Can you look at me and tell me how many of my friends need to die before you do anything?
Please wrap up.
Look at me!
Okay, we're all done here.
Fucking pathetic!
No, we're all done. Come on.
Of course, we need to continue celebrating Black History Month because in spite of what's coming down from Washington, we all know that we all exist and we all need to be recognized for our existence.
But be aware that you are a guest in my house when you come. And when you come, know that there are strong queer and trans people in my classroom who will collect you with the quickness.
Fact check, false. It's not your house. In theory, you're a public servant supposed to be serving the public. You're a teacher. The taxpayers own that building. Yeah, another reason to check your child's syllabus, as well as, reason 9,958,735,003 to homeschool your kid. Now back to the mime. Or me?
My name in drag is Dee Dee Delight. And my name out of drag is Dewey Cosgrove Atienza.
Laddie LaRouge, he, they, in drag, District 3.
My legal name is Olivia D'Ambrosio. My public name is Livy Scanlon. My wife and I own a home in the Canal District.
I speak as someone who is always misgendered, like all the time. People refer to me as sir when I prefer to be referred to as ma'am.
Now, for those, perhaps one of the best episodes in which you don't want to see, but this individual is a very tall looking man with, he does have shoulder length hair, but very broad shoulders. I might even be jealous of those broad shoulders. They're better than mine.
I speak as someone who is afraid to use public toilets.
What?
I speak as someone who is a member of this community and is a queer person.
You have to imagine being me and my wife, fearing that our marriage rights will be stripped away at any moment.
Please, I only have
Perhaps the only articulate thing I've heard in this whole segment thus far, there is some speculation that the U.S. government might change the definition of marriage to back to to, being what marriage was originally about and the actual definition of marriage, which back in the day was, man and woman, or just reading Bible. There's a lot of speculation. I'm pretty skeptical. I'm also not a fan of the government doing anything in terms of like, why do you need the government's permission or their sign off to be married? I think, well, marriage by its very foundation, not to get too sidetracked, is a religious thing. And with the exception of the woke Pope, most traditional religions wouldn't withstand it. They can create their own. People do create their own religions. Not that I agree with that, but we'll see in our lifetime the U.S. if they actually do change the definition of a marriage. I'm also pretty skeptical because, I mean, the Supreme Court has turned down a lot of cases where they should have taken it up. I'm pretty skeptical. So again, I was wrong. They said one moderately articulate thing. I don't know if that'll pan out. Let me know. Do you think, again, that is also fascinating to see the cultural shift in the United States. Back in the day, Obama was against gay marriage. Even Hillary Clinton. The first president who was pro-gay marriage, ironically enough, was Donald Trump. Which again, a lot of people don't agree with him on that point. And culturally speaking, in the United States, a lot of people point to gay marriage as the snowball tipping point where things went and they were being out of control. And now you have people in drag teaching sexual things to children in kindergarten. So a lot of people will argue that's where the slippery slope began. But we'll see. Culturally speaking, maybe we do see a shift back to a majority of Americans not believing in gay marriage. I'm kind of skeptical in that regard. I mean, the definition by religion, I think, man and woman. But culturally speaking, United States, do you think it would shift back? There's some people saying that the youth is more based these days. Voting trends do change. Let me know on that note. Do you think it would actually shift in our lifetime back to being the definition of the man and woman, which again would be the religious, origin? Let me know about that.
So much time, please, Joe's gonna cut me off.
Which matters more? Covering the legal fees of systemic police brutality or protecting the lives of queer people in our community?
Has any one of them, perished by anyone hurting them? Again, ironically, as this is a cultural and political thing, on average, the left is usually more bombastic and, violent. You look at the streets, the riots, the George Floyd riots where 20 plus people died. I've yet to see an instance, and I want an instance, I don't ever praise any type of violence, has any of them lost their lives?
How many lives have to be lost before you consider fighting back against fascism and corruption?
Ironically, the side that praises big government, censorship, and disarming people is calling Trump's side fascist, of course.
Now is the time to say that if federal money relies on the dehumanization of trans people, that we don't want your goddamn money.
I get that some of you care more about easy funding than trans lives and don't mind Nazis for some whatever reason, but
Normally I would say good evening, but through the chair I will only impart my sour grapes.
It's an extremely emotional and taxing thing to stand up here as part of the trans and gender diverse community.
Is it? I mean, he sounds better than me on a microphone. There's a lot more pressure than me. It's just my pet rock and the camera here. I mean, his voice sounds pretty strong, pretty articulate.
My name is Katie. I'm from District 5, and I'm speaking in support of agenda items 10B and 14B. Right now in our country, Trump is threatening the trans and gender diverse community.
Noticing people here are trying to control the rights of others, and that's not right. We should make Worcester a sanctuary city for trans people. Everybody deserves to feel safe, and everybody needs to feel safe. I've lived here for 4 years, and there hasn't really been any changes in how people feel safe in the city. My birthday is this Saturday, and all I want is peace and for you to vote yes. Please don't let me down for my birthday. There's a lot of queer people that I love, and to Candy Carlson, you should know to never call someone I'm 7 and I know better. The kids are watching and we're ready to vote you out.
Always creepy when people use children as political pawns. You see that especially on the left, though. Again, you do see it from time to time on the right. Now, this went pretty well. I got 7.9 million views and 37,000 likes, which, again, they're trying to make it a sanctuary city. It's not illegal in any state. Some states have laws where they ban kids going to drag shows. We call them the sane states. But even then, sometimes they're not culturally enforced. even in the great city, or I was about to say the great country, some call it state, of Texas, famously, it was about maybe 2 years ago, there was a drag performance where they call it child-friendly, no such thing, because, they're basically naked on stage. They had a drag performance at a bar in Denton, Texas. Legally speaking, the police should have shut it down, but because they were so cowardice, they didn't do anything. They argued that, well, it's like jaywalking. The police should have been fired. They weren't. Now, going to the comment section, one of the first ones comes from ALX saying, quote, the Worcester City Council has just spent over 4 hours on this instead of addressing the actual important issues. Most leaders in Massachusetts are not serious people. Getting 3.1 thousand likes. The Army of the Awakened has a especially creepy screenshot of the mime girl, which saying something coming from me. And or guy, it says, make this a safe space or I will make it an unsafe space. And it has extra, why do they always have those creepy eyes? And it got 6.5 thousand likes for that meme. That's a quite articulate, good meme, too. It looks like got 379 reposts as well, or retweets. I don't know what you call it these days. The redheaded libertarian, who has A+ marketing, she in fact, yes, a redheaded and libertarian, says, quote, that was hilarious until the cluster imam? I can't read that. Paraded out the 7-year-old boy with a distress flag on his shirt to ask for queer rights for his birthday. She'll be transitioning him by this time next week in their sanctuary city, getting 2.6 thousand likes, which is quite creepy when you look at statistics on which parent is initiating the transitions of these children. Yeah, it's more often not it's a single mom, or in a situation where you have a mom and a spineless, weak father who won't do anything. Quite sad. Olzupa says, what the hell is this? Getting 345 likes. And Wokus simply says, we might never lose again, getting 5.6 thousand likes. Emails Chong says, Jesus wept, getting 525 likes. Let's see here. David Sullivan, pronouns prosecute Fauci, says, bring back the nut houses. It's just a compilation video getting 798 likes, though. Danny D. Urbana says, quote, wow, we get Rugrats cast reunion before GTA 6. Getting 4.5 thousand likes, which, yeah, some of those outfits are pretty out there. Libercat Media Tam says, this has to be an effing joke, right? Getting 73 likes. Eric says, make it sounds great again, with a meme getting 329 likes. Let's see here. Carl Leingren says, has a picture of Jesus with 4 children walking beside him, and says, never forget what we're fighting for, getting 658 likes. Let's see here. Chuckle simply has a picture of a man sweeping the pride flag into the sewer, getting 588 likes, which, again, not all LGBT people in the community are in support of transitioning kids and these types of things. Again, a lot of, this whole account on the X called Gays Against Groomers. So it's not the whole community. And yeah, it is, I'm not sure what they hope to accomplish with the sanctuary city, because again, it's not illegal anywhere. There's much less controversy about people who are 18 plus doing whatever the hell they want. The only point of contention where people are really debating and they're peacefully protesting is when you have the children involved who can't consent. That's why they can't get tattoos or smoke or anything like that. Let's see. You also have Sarah Smith saying, quote, look at what the left has done to society. It's the same picture of the mime that says mental illness is real, getting 1.2 thousand likes. It almost looks like a vintage outfit from the 1920s the ladies might wear. Then was it bluish pink? No, it's a purple wig. Then, clown makeup. It got 1.2 thousand likes. Petros, the general, says, every city is a sanctuary city for citizens. Don't let the lunatics lie to you. If you don't commit a crime, cash is coming for you. If you don't commit a crime, so ADHD or dyslexia, that's dyslexia, probably, says, if you commit a crime, Cash Patel is coming for you. Stay away from the kids, getting 776 likes. Let's see here. Not saying too many contrarian statements. Got a lot of memes going here. And, I was going to say, and again, there's really not a lot of controversy around adults, and it's not illegal in any city. That's why it's a little bit more bizarre than usual. We'll see. And again, I think we'll see, culturally speaking, more of these instances, even if they don't make sense. But on average, I can't help but think more and more people will probably say, why is this needed? It seems like an extra law that, again, you're a United States citizen, you're equal before a judge. Why do you need, what is going on here? Why do you need extra? So we'll see. Maybe I'm the minority with an analysis, but let me know your thoughts, because as always, be fascinated to hear what you have to say. Other interesting cultural news, you have the Captain America actor saying it should not represent America. Which, of course it is, because it's a leftist actor who doesn't like our country. This comes to us, and this actually delayed. I've missed this one a couple weeks ago. Comes to us thanks to Benny Johnson. Says, quote, woke actor Anthony Mackie says, it related to Macklemore? Maybe. Says, woke actor Anthony Mackie says Captain America should not represent America. Really? And a little disappointing because he's not being a joke. Because the joke is, with Captain America's outfit, he's really just Captain Puerto Rico. Because there's only one flag, only one star, which is the Puerto Rican flag has 1 star. And America has, 50 stars for 50 states. Which, if you went to public school, you might not know that. And let's hear what he has to say.
For me, Cap,
maybe he has a very articulate, brilliant, real, reason and logic behind this. Probably not, but at least he did suit up. So he did one good thing about this interview.
For me, Captain America represents a lot of different things, and I don't think the term, America should be one of those representations. Like, it's about a man who keeps his word, who has honor, dignity, and integrity. Someone who is trustworthy and dependable.
Like the Founding Fathers? You mean like America?
It's kind of, this is kind of like an aspect of a dream coming true. When I was a kid, all of us as actors, I believe, want to get back to that day before someone told you no. When you look out your door and you see a 5-year-old kid with a stick and he's slaying dragons.
A place with a lot of freedom where anyone can get a job? Like America?
To save the princess in the tower. That kid really believes there are dragons out there. That stick is really a sword and he's really trying to save that princess. And then one day somebody told him, no, there are no dragons, that's not a sword, and that princess is not there. And all of his little dreams were dashed. So, as an actor, I feel like our job is to get back to the day where we see that dragon and we slay that dragon to save that princess. And that's kind of what this movie was for me.
Yeah. Except, America made Captain America, and he stands for, justice, freedom, things that are very uniquely American. And this one pretty valid. Got 1.3 million views and 36,000 likes. One of the first comments comes from Barefoot Pregnant saying, quote, maybe it's time for a hero that actually stands for the red, white, and blue. And it's a artwork of Trump's head on the Captain America body, getting 248 likes. Charlie says, Hollywood Weird hates America. They just don't get it, getting 20 likes. Bob Snyder says, why boycott just Captain America? Let's boycott Hollywood, period, getting 138 likes, which is pretty damn easy. When was the last time there was a good movie that came out of Hollywood? Like a really good movie that really, very intellectually stimulating, very great, great music. Or you have the Fast and Furious 20 movie or whatever number they're on these days, which is perhaps comparable to an amusement park ride, just being loud and obnoxious and having of all the jobs that'll be replaced by AI, those movies are just a copy paste of pretty much every other movie in the Fast and Furious franchise since like the first 3. Now you also have someone by the name of TMK saying Hollywood actors are stupid. You have Tristan Tate saying, quote, why is the new Captain America black anyway? Getting 7.2 thousand likes. And yeah, a lot of people are upset that there's yet another recasting in Hollywood where you have an actor that was, a role that was played by someone who's white, that is recast as someone who's African American, which interestingly enough happens pretty much on everything on Netflix. And I can't think of one instance where they've reversed that. It's only been done in the one way, which I think is why there's so much of a point of contention with that trend in Hollywood. Because again, it's never done the opposite way. You have A Dog's Life saying, quote, how sad, I love the Marvel movies, not in my house anymore, getting 62 likes. There isn't really that much to love about the Marvel films. I think the last good one was with, Tobey Maguire. When he was Spider-Man, those are good films. Maybe there's a little bit nostalgia, be honest with that. But when was the last real good Marvel film? You might be able to argue maybe Deadpool, which again, that's a microcosm. I would argue that's almost like an independent subsidiary where Ryan Reynolds just does his own thing. Jamie Warren says Disney used to have values, now it's a woke company getting 486 likes, which they claim they're going to become based and get rid of DEI and get rid of, you know, all the controversial stuff. I'm pretty skeptical, but we'll see. Joshua says, yes, Anthony, he doesn't represent America at all. I mean, no, America's representation here. There's a comic book of Capt America from back in the day, and yeah, all about beating up the bad guys from World War II and standing up for freedom, as we do. Getting 6 likes. Kyle says he doesn't deserve to represent our great country, getting 869 likes. Thomas Lund says he just cost this movie millions, getting 1,000 likes, which, yeah, probably. Let's see. Koi, an interesting, unique name. I kind of like that. And it's a picture of Trump pointing. It says, that shit right there, that's why I won. Getting 671 likes. Let's see here. Louis Gen X simply has a GIF of one of the original Capt America movies with whatever that other guy actor is. What is his name? Whatever that guy's name is. And he's sighing, disappointingly, getting 142 likes. Someone by the name of MAGA Eminem says, quote, demote him to Captain Canada. And there's a superhero in the Captain America outfit, but it's been changed for the maple leaf of Canada on the chest and shield, which, you know, it's made up because there's no maple syrup on the utility belt, or maybe pocket beavers you could chuck at someone. Now, they only got 18 likes. I'll give it a like. It's 19 likes. Captain Canada. Let's see. What would Captain Canada stand for? Hockey, maple syrup, and tyrannical governments disarming their law-abiding citizens. How's Justin Trudeau still in power is beyond me. How do you even not voted that POS out? Little bastard of Castro. Larry says, wow, not even very American, getting 122 likes. Mama Legend says, Disney and its woke actors have ruined Marvel, getting 122 likes. Yeah, Disney is also so mentally vacuous that they hired Rachel Zegler, which I'm ashamed to actually know her name. She's known for being insufferable and being in the new Snow White film as a princess, which is hilarious because the queen is supposed to be jealous of her looks. The queen is 1,000 times more attractive than Rachel Zegler. Also, Rachel Zegler, on camera, said, oh yeah, the old Snow White film was outdated. It's weird. It's, it's about a man saving a woman sleeping. Weird. We're not going to have that. We're going to have a new thing. So she insulted the intellectual property of the original story creator, as well as the company that represents her. And they didn't fire her. That is so mentally vacuous, it's beyond belief. Let's see if there's anyone sticking up for him. Alpha Liger says, that's Captain Woke, bro. And it's the actor's face, but it's been photoshopped, or AI? Yeah, AI Grok picture, actually. And the Captain America suit has been replaced by the hammer and sickle of communism, getting 22 likes. So we'll see if this actually makes any money at the box office, or more accurately, will make a profit. I mean, Disney has not made a profit on most of their films in over a year. I think Deadpool was a one outlier. I mean, the Star Wars franchise losing them millions. The Indiana Jones movie, that lost them like $400 million. Because the plots are so bad. The acting also sucks too, sure. But plots are so bad. So we'll see. But let me know, do you think this movie at the end of the day will actually make a profit? And maybe culturally speaking, do majority Americans think this, maybe they believe in this? I suspect not, since again, Trump did win the popular vote in addition to Electoral College during the recent presidential election. But let me know the thoughts and comments, because as always, be fascinated to hear what you have to say. Now, going over to the political part of the podcast, you have the Department of Education spent $1 trillion, and the test scores keep falling more and more, which is perhaps one of the best metaphors for the government in general. Now, this comes with thanks to Libs of TikTok, in which she says, quote, Trump's education secretary nominee, Linda McCohen, exposes the fact that we spent $1 trillion taxpayer dollars since the founding of the Department of Education, but scores keep falling and falling. Kind of like the teachers' unions, they're paid more and more every single year, but the test scores also fall more and more. Yeah, a good example of money doesn't solve all your problems, and spending more money isn't always a solution. The best example being the schools in Detroit, which have the highest per student spend, and yet have some of the lowest test scores. Now, without too much further ado, hear what she has to say here.
The bottom line is because it's not working. Department of Education was set up in 1980, and since that time we have spent almost $1 trillion, and we have watched our performance scores continue to go down. I do believe that it is a responsibility to make sure that our children do have equal access to excellent education. I think that that is best handled at the state level, closest to the states, working with state administrators, teachers, parents, who should have input into their curriculum.
Yeah, also creepy how a lot of schools hide the curriculum from the parents. And even creepier when you find out, dear God, they're teaching that and showing kids that. Now, this should have got a million views. It didn't. Got 165,000 views and only 6.9 thousand likes. Though I, of course, did like it myself. I mean, $1 trillion and worse and worse results. That's not, I mean, I can't think of a more appropriate metaphor for pretty much most of my life how the government is operated in the United States. $1 trillion. Jeez Louise. One of the first comments comes from Planet of Memes. A+. They finally did use a meme. It's been almost like a week plus of them just doing text, which again, your name is Planet of Memes. Now, he says before the meme, delete the Department of Education. And you have the meme or meme of the death going from door to door and blood oozing out, but it's Trump's head on it, and the doors with the blood leaking out are labeled Kamala Harris, DEI, USAID, and Department, and he's knocking on the door that is Department of Education. They got 449 likes. Paul Zupa also says, quote, spending money for something that keeps collapsing doesn't make sense. Getting 35 likes. Social Security. Gotta get rid of that crap soon, hopefully. Throwing down more and more. Red-blooded mom says, more money won't fix the problem. We're number 40 out of the 40 most educated countries, but number 1 in funding per student. Shut it down and revamp it. Which, yeah, this is a screenshot saying, quote, not a single student can read at grade level in 30 schools in Illinois, which I know it's not how you're supposed to pronounce it, but out of disrespect, I call it Illinois. Yeah, if you're actually from there, you don't call it that or pronounce it that way. And yeah, that shows, yeah, geez Louise. So it looks like Lovejoy Middle School in, was it Utah? No, Brooklyn, UD, spent $17,663 per school, per student at the school, and they can't read. Wow. And yeah, I was going to spoiler, a lot of those are the shitty of Chicago, or within the city of Chicagoland. Wow. They're spending, Jesus, one school spent $52,000 per student, and they can't read. Teachers unions should not exist. Jesus, that's ridiculous. That's criminal. Absolutely criminal. I only got 6 likes. Make it 7. Scrolling down more and more. The Tyrant's Foe says, let's go. It's a meme from the Glorious Bastards saying, quote, we're in the business of making liberals cry. Could I do his voice? Or could I do his accent? Probably not. I don't think I've seen that movie in years. But I'll try. It might be a good laugh. We're in the business of making liberals cry. And boys, business is booming. Getting 2 likes. I'll make it 3. Let's see. No contrarian statements thus far. Dix Vanman says, quote, family spent a few hours over text trying to convince me that we need more wokeness in DEI in our education system, and it's nothing to do with scores. He claims science and sociology are on his side, and I'm a bigot for thinking schools should be focused on academics. Getting 8 likes, no, good metaphor for leftist. Tom says, the best thing we can do for the U.S. education would be to ban teachers' unions. Amen to that. He says, FDR was right. There should be no public sector unions. Yep, I'll make it. I got 18, I'll make it 19 likes. I've yet to find a situation where unions do not dramatically increase cost and decrease quality. Although, who knows? I mean, GM makes great reliable cars. Same with Ford. That's an automotive pun because you look at the most reliable cars in the world, bar none. They are Honda, Acura, same company, Toyota, and Tesla, all famously not unionized labor. But I partially digress. We'll see. Hopefully, I mean, shoot, so much to the rot, and they never actually, I mean, this would be like almost like the equivalent of a business being around for 30 plus years and never turning a profit. That's trash. And you should just get rid of it completely, restart from square one. So let me know, do you think the Department of Education should be revamped or, edited right now, or just tear it down and start something new, or just relegate that business to the states? Again, there's a reason why you don't have cool archery and shooting classes at a lot of schools. They say, well, if you want federal funding, you can't have cool old school stuff. But let me know your thoughts and comments, because as always, be fascinated to hear what you have to say. Other interesting political news, you have RFK Jr. being confirmed as HHS Secretary in a 52-48 vote. Now this comes with thanks to Libs of TikTok. And she also says, quote, the only Republican, who voted no was Mitch McConnell. Seeing a trend of that little turtle, which, again, he's done one of good things throughout his career. Don't get me wrong. I believe there's a couple, there have been abhorrent, terrible Supreme Court justice picks that he was able to successfully block. I forget the individual that he did block. So yeah, that was a good thing. You don't want radical leftists on the Supreme Court that can't define what a woman is. Oh wait, they got Ketanji Jackson Brown on that, but nevertheless, I believe it was Mitch McConnell who was a blocking vote for, was it Obama's former DOJ head? You lose me at the moment, but he's done more good things. But more often than not, seems to be a useless rhino. Now, you can see right down, and again, fun fact of the day, big pharma money, all the employees who work there, every single one of them, all the major ones, all the money goes to Democrats, with the exception of Bernie Sanders, which is technically an independent in terms of the classification of those donation dollars. Fascinating how they don't want RFK Jr. there. Interesting. Now, this got 334,000 views and 22,000 likes. One of the first comments coming from Paul Zupa says, quote, Mitch is a bitch, getting 201 likes. Gunther Eagleman says the perfect pick, getting 328 likes as well. AKA says, let's go RFK Jr., getting 134 likes. Adam Collette says, make America healthy again. RFK is confirmed as Secretary of Health and Human Services. Time for the nation to pray. There's a picture of them shaking hands. And it says, confirmed, getting 106 likes. Austin Mom says, America is ready for change. There you can see the former Department of Health from 2021, who was a biological man who thought he was a woman and, transitioned. And then juxtaposition, and is all morbidly obese. And juxtaposition to that is RFK Jr. looking, in shape. And it says Department of Health 2025, getting 242 likes. Scrolling down more and more. El Guapo Speaks, says facts, and say, is it Macho Man? Says, when someone asks how much I love America, then it's juxtaposition with a picture of V for Vendetta. Says, when someone asks me how much I love our government, getting 19 likes. Pablo Marinke, I'm butchering that, not intentionally, saying Maha, make America healthy again. And it's a video from Historic Video saying, quote, JFK expressed his concerns about the physical fitness of the American youth. Now, this is American youth in 1962.
Children participate more.
Here, we'll play that really quick.
There's nothing, I think, more unfortunate than to have soft, chubby, fat-looking children who go to watch their school play basketball every Saturday and regard that as their week's exercise. I hope that all of you will join, and everybody in the United States, to make sure that our children participate fully in a vigorous and adventurous life which is possible for them in this very rich country of ours.
Yeah, it's pathetic. And again, there are a couple of variables, including diet. But yeah, how weak and pathetic public schools have become. They don't even let you play dodgeball anymore because they say it's not fair. But yeah, in the video from the 60s, you have these young gentlemen. I forget what exercise it's called, but some monkey bars. There's a bunch of individual sticks that are climbing across. And then they have the push-ups, running, doing the, what is that? It's the not Olympic, it's the gymnastic thing where you have two bars and you're, climbing across them with using your upper body strength. And then they have the exercise in which you have the wall and also like a pegboard in the garage. And you take the two pegs and you climb up the wall using only that. And yeah, they all got, they got jacked biceps and six packs. And I have kids that can't even walk more than 18 feet without sweating. Ridiculous. I got 19 likes. Hunter Eagleman says, quote, can Mitch even speak right now? Getting 146 likes, which probably not very articulately, though. Granted, actually it's saying something from me. I'm actually more articulate than Mitch McConnell saying something. Now, Ryan Jacobson says, quote, I'm going to say something a little unpopular. I'm proud of our GOP, except for Mitch, who's a bitch. Getting 142 likes, which, yeah, I thank God RFK Jr. was confirmed. There are a lot of useless rhinos, don't get me wrong. I was pretty skeptical. This is one of the biggest things that Trump could have done. And something that I think will have one of the biggest profound impacts to help the average American that's been done in politics in our life. I think it's going to reveal a lot of corruption in a lot of areas. And I am really excited to see how we will make America healthy again. And it is kind of funny that all the people who opposed him all are big recipients of donation dollars from people who work at the pharma industry. So Let me know if you think that's just a pure coincidence. And what do you think will be some of the first things that RFK Jr. goes after? And do you think, can we really make America healthy again? Or are we too far gone? Let me know your thoughts, because as always, be fascinated to hear what you have to say. Going over to the business blunder of the day, you have a GMC truck being recalled because part of the grill could just fall off when you're driving, which, the GM quality, of course. Now this comes to us thanks to Motor1.com, specifically Chris Smith, who's a writer over there, in which they say, quote, "Whoops, GM recalls a GMC Sierra because grill pieces could fly off." They say the upper grill section of 70,000 Sierra 1500s could detach without warning, which, of course, I feel bad. I know a couple of friends who buy these vehicles and family members. I do have family who worked at GM, both the assembly line as well as management, so they used to get those friend and family discounts. And again, those retirement, some of them still drive because they have those retirement perks. But like, yeah, they're just so unreliable. And they make a couple good cars, but overall, let's just say it's almost like gambling when you get one of them. Now they say, quote, "General Motors has a small problem, though they have these ginormous grills. Look at the size of these things." I don't know. I'm not a fan of that redesign. Every year the grill gets bigger and more obnoxious. This is worse than BMW. And people make fun of BMW for the giant grill, or now they call it the pig nostril grill. They say that's obnoxious. That's like the side of a barn, the size of that front grill. And just looks so so rudimentary. A simple AI project just made it in something better than Microsoft Paint, but just barely. Now they say, quote, "General Motors has a small problem with grills on the 2022 GMC Sierra 1500 pickup truck. The grill deflector, the top part of the grill surround, can unexpectedly detach. Parts flying off the vehicles obviously creates a safety issue, which prompted a recall of 70,768 trucks. Specifically, the problem affects the 2022 GMC Sierra 1500 equipped with the chrome grill. According to the recall documents from the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, there could be defects in the fasteners that hold sections of the grill in place. Right. There are 8 attachment points, all of which could fracture. Jeez. Should all of them break, the deflector can come off, the trim piece may appear loose and rattle before it ultimately exits the scene. The recall further specifies the 2022 GMC Sierra 1500 pickup truck built after the mild facelift it received later that year. At this time, the recall doesn't extend beyond 2022. It also doesn't apply to trucks that have the grills other than the chrome. They say an exact reason for the attachment point fracture isn't given. A GM employee initially notified the company of a possible problem after getting a complaint from a customer. An initial investigation was opened in early 2024, but closed 1 month later because no defect trend was identified. Of course. Jeez Louise. In May 2024, a Reddit thread was posted describing the exact issue with several other 2022 GMC Sierra owners chiming in. GM then opened a new investigation in December 2024 due to a, quote, "rise in claim rates." Subsequently, GM noted 1,225 field complaints received from vehicle owners between April and December. Jeez. Heaven forbid one of them came off when you're, driving on the highway or something and caused an accident. 1,225 field complaints. Jeez. They say that 4 complaints allege a vehicle accident occurred. As a result, GM isn't aware of any injuries related to that problem yet. The automaker, quote, developing a remedy for the problem, but at the same time, there's no fix available yet. They say that parts diagrams show the deflector as a separate piece, but the GMC Sierra 1500 owners on Reddit claim that the only way to get it is to buy an entire grill. Ouch. In the meantime, GMC dealers are instructed to stop all sales of affected 2022 Sierra 1500s, whether they are new or used. Wow. They say that owner notifications will be mailed out March 24th. Or just tune into this podcast where, seems like half the business blunders are automotive related. Usually cover it months ahead of those little papers being mailed out, which, again, these dealers are really lucky this wasn't identified in 2022. Because imagine having a big, most important vehicle on your lot by profit margins. You're told, hey, you can't sell that because we made a mistake. The grills could just fall off. Which, yeah. And yet another reason not to buy one of these things. And it's also automatic only. Trucks should all have 3 pedals on a stick shift. That's just me. Jeez Louise. So yeah, 1,225 incident reports. That number blows my mind. And again, silver lining of the situation, they're kind of ahead of the situation in terms of no one died from it. There's one alleged accident. Doesn't sound like it's too serious. But again, I'm not sure. Allegedly, there are people in charge of quality assurance at General Motors. I mean, a great way to see if this is really worthy of long-term longevity and, reliability would be just, driving down the streets of Detroit or Chicago. If you could survive that, you can survive anything. And that'd be a good parameter for quality, I think. But again, it seems like a simple, again, based on how it sounds, a road vibration test would fix this. AKA, if you rattle the car enough, the fasteners sound like it'd be the first thing to break. Maybe they didn't put it through that test, or maybe they didn't test it long enough to actually see it bear fruition, or, actually be shown in study. But again, there's already a lot of things going against these trucks. And it is, of all the things to care about in the GM portfolio, I can understand not giving a damn about the Chevy Blazer EV. They lose money on every EV sold. They will eventually make a profit, I suspect, in the long term. Probably. But the most important thing GM makes is trucks. That is the most profitable thing they make. There's a reason why every automotive company has crossovers, they have big SUVs, they have trucks, and they don't make a lot of small entry-level economic cheap cars anymore. It's because there's not a lot of profit. When GM sold the Chevy Cruze, which, I love the Chevy Cruze Eco with the stick shift, was awesome, but when Chevy sold the Cruze, dealerships was almost, the rumor was the manufacturer lost $400 and the dealerships would lose like $480. The only way they made money off of it was if they sold, financing, accessories, all that kind of stuff. But the little cars, they're loss leaders to hope that you someday come back to get like a ginormous, Chevy Suburban 5800, whatever trim level they call it. Those are the real profit is. The fact that they don't have 2 to 3 times the regular quality assurance focusing on these trucks, the crown jewel that's fueling the profitability of General Motors, I gotta say, Mary Barr, CEO of General Motors, gotta say that is certainly the business blunder of the day. Thank you everyone for taking the time to tune in today. Again, first live stream Q&A is going to be Saturday, February 22nd, 6 p.m. Texas time, or some people call it Central Time. Thank you again for taking the time to tune in. Don't forget to take the time to like, subscribe, and comment. Actually, give me a thumbs up, or comment. Let me know how I can make the show better and better. Lastly, don't forget to take time to tell your family, tell your friends, tell your coworkers, heck, tell your enemies, anyone and everyone. Just stay safe and fight the good fight.